Sup? David here. Today I want to talk to you about fear and freedom. I truly believe that facing your fears is the only way to freedom. When you have a fear and it's kind of just lingering in your life and you don't step up to face it, there's going to be like this lingering suffering that's happening in the background. And when you have this sort of suffering that's kind of always constantly humming in the background, then you can say that you are not fully free. And I also do believe that when you face your fears, when you conquer your fears, I wouldn't say really conquer them, but constantly just, Seth Godin says, dancing with your fears, right? Making fear on your side instead of being it against you. Then I believe that's where you can find one of your best freedoms. You can find that you are liberated. You can find a lot of liberation from facing your fears. So I'll give you some personal stories of mine. So I guess one of my biggest fears is doing videos like this. This, in fact, is one of my biggest fears. I guess this is a different version of this, but one of my biggest fears was speaking in public, like public speaking. That was one of my biggest fears. And in fact, I believe it's the number one fear in the world. And it is there for a reason, actually. It's both biological and a conditioning. But a lot of it can be overcome, just like I'm doing it right now, right? It can be overcome. So a lot of it, I believe, comes down to conditioning. We have been conditioned to believe that speaking in public, like if we say something wrong, then we can get embarrassed, right? That can come in the form of pain. So that's why we've been conditioned to believe that this thing can be very fearful if you don't do it right? And then that becomes conditioned over time, and it develops into a phobia, it develops into a fear. And that is definitely the case, my own case as well. When I was a little kid, I did public speaking for the first time, and I absolutely hated it. And I don't think anybody laughed at me or anything, like it wasn't like embarrassing or anything, but I just knew inside that I didn't do a really good job, right? And that imposed like its own set of painful experiences in my life, and it kind of had a domino effect. And the next time I went to go speak in public, I was even more fearful. And the next time was even more fearful after that, and it created like this big domino effect, and I was just so stupefied by this act of speaking in public. But if you really think about it, especially from a biological standpoint, we live in the modern world now. Like if we say something wrong, nothing bad is gonna happen to us, right? I mean, unless it's like, something not too extreme and too out there. But if we say something like, if we make a mistake, for example, if we say something on accident, then nothing bad is not, it's not really gonna happen to us. But we come at it with the mindset that something bad is going to happen to us if we say the wrong things. But you can say I say stupid things all the time on camera and in front of this video. You know what I mean? But nothing really bad happens to me. Like nothing bad happens to me. It's just, I'm just expressing myself, right? And I might make mistakes here and there, and nothing bad still happens to me. So if you get into the mindset that nothing bad is really, honestly, it's really not going to happen to you, and that these fears are just kind of like illusions that we have in our own minds, then it just becomes a lot easier to cope and to overcome these fears. Of course, it doesn't happen in just one giant leap. Like you don't conquer your fears in just like one step, but it happens over time. It happens a little over time, especially if you put yourself out there and you're constantly facing your fears, being courageous, that we call that courage, right? Being brave and constantly putting yourself out there, it becomes a skill set. Like courage becomes a skill set. Facing your fears becomes a skill set, and it becomes a very valuable skill set at that, because a lot of the great things in life require courage. So that's something that you want to build up to, right? And again, it doesn't come in just like one swoop, but you have to constantly be putting yourself out there. You want to dance with the fear, like Seth Godin says. And I'm sorry for the siren noise in the background, but you want to be able to dance with it. You want to make fear on your side, right? And here's the thing, I truly believe this. Fear is a compass. Fear is showing you where you have to go in life. And from my experience, I followed my fear. I followed that compass. And I'm so glad I did. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to shoot videos like this. And this, what used to be a fear of mine, is one of my biggest passions. Me being able to do this. I love doing this. And that would have never happened if I did not follow that compass that we call fear. In other words, fear is passion. Fear is love. Fear is passion turned inside out. Fear is love turned inside out. And it's showing us the way on how to come fully alive. And don't you just feel that? Once you conquer your fears, you just feel fully alive. Instead of just going through life, walking days, being asleep with our eyes open, fear helps us to realize that there's a life, there's this thing called life. It helps us to come fully alive to it and to embrace it. And maybe that's what life is all about. Maybe it's to experience life fully. And we can only experience that when we come fully alive. That's it for this video. Face your fears. Dance with the fears. Because fear is just love turned inside out. And that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed this one, my friend. And much love, much joy, much life to you. Talk to you in the next one. Peace.